Story. The case against Nandipha Magudumana's father and a former G4S employee has been postponed to next Monday, while the pair are facing charges of aiding and abetting Thabo Bester's escape from the Mangaung prison. Senior reporter in ENC's Silindelo Masikane has the very latest from the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court in Slee. Good afternoon to you, colleague. What were the latest, I suppose, coming out of that appearance by both Nandipha's father and the former G4S employee?
Well, brief proceedings here in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, but of course the first court appearance of the two men accused of playing a role in the escape saga that took place at the Mangaung Correctional Centre on the 3rd of May 2022. Now, we have 38-year-old Sinohe Matsura, who is a former G4S employee, and he is charged alongside Zolile Sekeleni, who is 65 years old, and that is Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's father. And he, as well as Matsura, are facing charges of defeating the ends of justice, fraud, murder, as well as arson. Now, these charges, we understand the NPA believes that these two have a case to answer to. They would not elaborate further on exactly what role they played, but of course, we have been speaking to some of our sources. You've seen much of the media reports around what took place on the 3rd of May, and that there were many people who were involved in that particular escape, and the NPA believes that these two men in particular are just a few of those who have a case to answer to. And specifically speaking to that charge of murder, we understand the NPA believes that this charge is of course linked to that body that was found inside Bester's cell that was supposed to purport to be Bester, but we know of course at this point investigations are still underway. We still don't know whether authorities have actually ascertained as to whether they know the identity of that body. But this morning we saw Mr. Sekeleni as well as his co-accused making their way into the dock. Proceedings were supposed to start at around 11 a.m. Dumelo, but we saw quite a late start, just after 11:30 in fact. And Mr. Sekeleni, as he walked into the dock, they were both chained. Their legs were chained, and he was trying to hide his face in the beginning of proceedings, but I think at some point he saw that that just simply wasn't going to work, and eventually he put his jersey down, and the photographers started clicking away. When proceedings then officially began, the prosecutor then introduced the docket and told the magistrate that he, as well as the lawyers for the accused, had agreed on a date of the 17th of April 2023, that's next week Monday, for a formal bail application.
With that being said, Slee, if I may, I just want to take it back to the conversation that you had with Nandipha's father. There was an exclusive that we had right here in ENCA. Let's take it back to what he told you in as far as Nandipha's whereabouts, his knowledge of Thabo Bester, as well as this case, and how complex, these acts of criminalities in as far as Thabo Bester as Nandipha are concerned are. What did he tell you in terms of what he knew?
Our conversation was quite brief, Dumelo, and at the time, Dr. Nandipha and Bester had essentially disappeared. Nobody could locate them as to where they are. And in my conversation with him, I had asked him if he knew where she was, her whereabouts, and he just briefly told me about a conversation he had with her, where she was asking about her mother's health, also indicating to me that he was quite worried about her. I asked if he knew that his daughter was involved with a convicted felon, and he said he did not know this. I asked him if he knew about her involvement or her role in the entire escape, and he said to me, you don't need to tell me why my daughter is in the papers. I know why she's there. Not really elaborating exactly on what he knew. Weeks later, following the news of the arrest of Nandipha and Bester in Tanzania with a Mozambican accomplice, we are now seeing law enforcement rounding up essentially who they believe also played a role, which includes now Dr. Nandipha's father. Let's just now take a listen to the NPA with regards to the charges and proceedings that took place this morning.
Yes, the two accused appeared before the Bloemfontein Magistrate Court today, and the request from prosecution was that the matter be postponed until next week Monday, which is the 17th of April, because we don't have the bail information of the two accused. So possibly Monday will proceed with bail application depending on the bail information that we're going to get in respect of the two accused.
Can you clarify where they're going to be held?
One accused, which is accused number one, Senowe Letswara, will be outside the town of Bloemfontein, because the reason for that was that he's a former employee of the correctional facility here in Bloemfontein. So the request was that to avoid him interfering with the investigation, let's make a request that he be placed at a correctional facility outside Bloemfontein. So it's only accused number 2 who will be placed at the correctional facility here in Bloemfontein.
Well, that's where we'll leave it for now. Senior reporter ENC Silindelo Masikane in Bloemfontein at the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. Thank you so much, colleague, for these updates.